Age does nothing for you, man. Look at this thing. There's like 3 or 4 beams of. Am I streaming right now?
We're live, guys. We are live.
Live.
What's up, everybody? We'll just wait for some. We'll wait for the supporters to start joining in. Here comes the echo. Hold on, guys. Technical difficulties, as always. And we're back. Welcome, guys. Thank you guys for joining us. We're here with Valley Accident Lawyer Reza H. Mikhchi.
Said that perfectly.
All right, Esquire, and we're here. He's going to give us some advice on what to do when you're in a traffic accident or to even avoid certain situations. So he's our leader, and he's going to take over the topic. And we just want to welcome you to the SGV News channel. Everybody here, always looking for advice, always looking for guidance and stuff like that, and just trying to stay out of harm's way when it comes to being out in the public, dealing with people, dealing with cars, dealing with cops. So people are just interested to know, what we can do to better ourselves out there on the road. So
Sure.
So I'll let you go from here.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing or the number one thing I tell everybody that ever comes around, there are 2 things, I mean, other than, not drinking and driving, there are 2 things that you can always do to kind of ensure that you are safe, that you don't get injured in the event of an auto accident. First one is wear your seatbelt. I especially out here, and like I see people, you can't see it, but I have a view of the intersection, and I see people like riding around without seatbelts all the time. That's number 1, and number 2, probably more important, is don't text. Just put your phone down. It really can
Save
wait.
it for later.
Yeah, man, it's always.
Oh, dumpsters. Hey, sorry, CC Dumps, you got anything to say right now? No? Okay, just sit there and shut up.
I think he's tired. There you go, bro.
Put him to sleep.
Whoa. There we go. There we go. Cool.
Put this in his mouth.
Yes.
Eat this, Dumps.
There we go. But yeah, I would say those are the 2 most important things, right? Wear your seatbelt, don't text when you drive, and you can take any matter of precautions, but at the end of the day, there are certain things that are just outside of your control. You can't stop the other guy from driving like an ass.
Right.
Can I say that?
Oh yeah, of
Okay,
course.
just making sure.
Fuck, yeah, you can.
All right. But
I had a question on the seatbelt thing, because a lot of people, for example, they get pulled over and they don't have a seatbelt on. Now the cop says that they seen them, and maybe the way they were leaning, driving like this, maybe the seatbelt wasn't seen. So, is it first of all, is it legal to pull it over the wrong way and wear it? Because a lot of people like to pull it over their back and just wear the lap thing.
it's funny that you say that.
Number 1, and number 2, how are they going to prove that you had your seatbelt off if you're leaning a certain way? Like a lot of cholos and stuff,
They
lean like a cholo,
lean.
and they're covering the seatbelt.
Yeah.
So the cop says you weren't wearing your seatbelt. When you sit up straight, the seatbelt's there.
So okay.
What
to
should we
comment
do?
on the first thing, with the throwing the seatbelt behind you, that's that law is designed for your safety, right? For motorist safety.
Right.
If you're wearing it incorrectly, it could cause injury, right? So like,
Gotcha.
I actually, whenever I have clients that come in for an intake, right, I always ask them, look, were you wearing your seatbelt? Is it lap and shoulder? And then the next thing I ask is, do you wear it like this, or do you do this thing, right, where you put it underneath your armpit?
Right.
Most of the time, people wear it, the correct
Normal,
way.
yeah.
Sometimes you get people like, I just don't like
hurts.
it. Yeah, it hurts. It's in my
Yeah.
way. I just put it out of the way.
Yeah.
If you get into an accident and you're wearing it incorrectly, especially if you're wearing it under here, it can and has like broken ribs.
Oh. Okay.
I recently had a client who had a cracked sternum as a result of that.
Wow.
Wearing it behind you, there's really no way that you can tell whether someone's wearing it on or off, and I'm not trying to give any bad advice here, but you can't tell. I mean, if it's behind you, it's still relatively on. But again, the risk of greater injury is higher if you're not wearing it correctly.
Gotcha.
And I have actually noticed that there are times where, if you're next time you're driving, just pull up behind someone and just look. You can actually see, as long as their windows aren't tinted or they're clear windows, you can kind of tell the difference between the seatbelt that's worn or that's buckled up, or the seatbelt that's hanging. You can actually see the you know the latch like sitting
Yeah.
there, and that's like the indicator, right?
Yeah.
As long as that's pulled down, and if the seatbelt's flap is facing down, it's kind of hard to tell whether it's there. Usually, I think what and I don't quote me on this, but I think what law enforcement is looking for when they're pulling up behind someone is to see if that strap is going towards it's going towards your chest, or if it's hanging vertical. That's what I would say. So,
Got you.
but still, at the end of the day, save yourselves. Wear the seatbelt.
Wear your seatbelt.
That's all.
Yeah, that should be number one. And actually, we had some guy that was out there cop watching the other day. I don't know if you know about cop watchers.
No, I've seen a couple
so
of them.
we had Riverside. Shout out to Riverside County. He pulls over.
No.
He pulls over and he gets a cop watch, and then he's like, "Yeah, I'll help you guys." So he shows the cop his license, and he jumps in the car and he moves the guy's car, and then he gives the other passengers a ride back to work because the guy got arrested, the driver. So he was doing a good deed.
Yeah, that's good.
Then he jumps in his car and he's driving with the live feed and he doesn't have a seatbelt on. So wear your seatbelt, guys.
Yeah, be careful.
Safety
man.
first. And can you ignore traffic tickets and eventually will it go away?
No, they'll get worse.
It'll get worse and worse.
I'll say there's always that one off or two offs where it just kind of falls between the cracks, especially now with like COVID and how courts are all backed up.
Yeah.
But for the most part, if you get a traffic ticket and you ignore it, you're only going to make your life harder than it is. I actually have a parking ticket that I need to pay right now. It's sitting on my desk. But parking tickets, traffic tickets, those things. They'll only get worse if you don't take care of them. It doesn't hurt to reach out for traffic tickets. It doesn't hurt to reach out to a criminal defense attorney and see if they can do something for you. I find most defense attorneys are unwilling to deal with traffic tickets because it's kind of, I guess, beneath their pay grade, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it's not worth
You got to
the
get
time.
kind of the newer attorneys will do it because it's
high volume stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get you.
But
once you get in the game, you learn, what makes money,
Yeah.
and you start turning away business. I get it.
It happens, man. And in every field, I think that happens, right?
Yeah.
You evolve.
Right. Exactly.
Are those questions? Are those people commenting?
Can you ignore a jury summons?
Oh, I don't know. I've been in a situation where. I'll be honest. Maybe I don't want to say this on a live stream, but in my youth I ignored a jury summons once, and nothing ever happened out of it. But
You know what I think within that, I mean, not that I know, but I've got jury summons before, and what I do is I call on the last day, at the last hour, at the last minute.
that might work.
and then they're like, "You are not needed."
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah!
There you done.
So who knows? Maybe you just, if you don't check in, maybe you get kicked out eventually because you're not needed anymore. Who knows, right?
Yeah, but I mean, whenever my kind of train of thought or school of thought is, if I'm dealing with the government, I'd rather just
Do it right.
Yeah, just do it right. Get rid of it.
Time.
Yeah, you know. The second time around when they summoned me, when they actually sent me the summons, I went in. I flirted with the guy behind the desk, and he kind of let me off. I didn't have to do anything. Not that I'm saying you should do that, but just
don't ever
show
use
up.
your charm.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. So now what about like in a situation where you get in a traffic accident and you didn't have insurance and you didn't have your seatbelt? What are the criminal charges on top of that?
In most cases, if you get into an auto accident, it's very rare where an officer will cite you for something like that. They'll arrest you if you're intoxicated, right? If you're driving under the influence, you'll get arrested.
Right.
But if you don't have insurance, or you weren't wearing your seatbelt or something like that, they usually kind of look at it as like, this guy's already having a really shitty day. Let's not make it worse, right? Or guy or gal, whatever.
Right.
If I say guy, I mean universal.
Guys, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Peoples.
Peoples, there you go. But for the most part, they will leave it alone. I have plenty of accidents where somebody wasn't wearing the seatbelt, they didn't have insurance, they weren't cited. What will happen is if the officer creates a police report or a traffic collision report, on one of the pages it'll indicate what was the cause of the accident, and they will usually put a vehicle code. It'll say VC 21456, whatever. I don't even know if that's not a real one. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it'll indicate which party was in violation of that code, but it'll also say were they cited, and they'll say yes or no, and usually it's almost 99% of the time it's cited as no.
I have a personal, um, like what do you say, like experience with that. Yeah, when I was young, like 18 or
Mhm.
19, back when insurance wasn't like, you know,
Crazy.
when it wasn't like you had to have it,
Right.
like part of the law. I didn't have insurance and I got in an accident and somebody, T-boned me. They
Ooh.
ran a red light and hit me. And so they didn't cite me on site and everything, but when I got the lawyer involved, and then they ended up suspending my license because I had to do the SR-22 and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So eventually, I think that catches up with you too,
Yeah.
because it caught up with me. They didn't cite me on site, but I got a letter in the mail, and then I had to do SR-22 for 5 years.
So I'll tell you this: whenever you get into an auto accident, you have to fill out an SR1. It's a form with a DMV.
Mhm.
Anytime there's damage, beyond some threshold. I think now it's 1,000. Maybe around your time it was around 500.
500, yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
So you got to fill out that SR1. If you hired an attorney, your attorney probably did the SR1, and since you didn't have insurance, they neglected to include that insurance information. Once the DMV takes a look at that form and sees, oh, okay, there's no proof of insurance here, they'll automatically suspend your license.
Gotcha.
And you got to do that ASAP. Like if you get into an auto accident, you should fill out an SR1, or if you have insurance, they'll do it for you. Just make sure they're not doing it wrong, because they oftentimes do.
Gotcha.
You can't trust insurance companies.
No, never. Perfect, man. Any suggestions on self-defense using a taser?
I mean, no comment. I'll
Okay,
say, yeah,
all right. That's for probably a criminal.
yeah,
right?
That's more criminal
Let's
defense. I would
focus
say.
more on traffic, guys. If you guys have more traffic stuff, Naderi's gonna actually join us in a little bit, so we'll ask him any criminal questions at that
I don't think
point.
we have a chair big enough for him.
Yeah, he doesn't fit in here, so we gotta get another camera with a wide angle. So, okay, what else do we got for you? Let me see. Now,
May I actually
Yeah,
comment
go
on
ahead,
something?
go ahead.
All right, so there are two types of cases or two types of auto accidents that whenever we get, they're the most problematic for our clients, and that's left turn cases, right? Because whether you were making the left turn or the other side's or you were going straight. I'm talking about a left turn in an intersection, by the way. I should be clear. In those situations, especially when you're at a traffic signal, the law automatically presumes or assumes that whoever's making the left turn is automatically at fault, unless there's information or facts that lead otherwise or that say otherwise. Now, if you find yourself in a left turn accident, it is the most important thing for you to get a witness as soon as you can. I mean, right? Don't leave the scene. I mean, obviously, if you're injured, you're gonna have to go in an ambulance, and you're kind of screwed at that point. But not screwed. If you are able to get a witness, find someone who can say what color the light was, because it almost always turns out to be a your word versus my word scenario, and insurance carriers have a duty to believe they're insured unless there's some other evidence stating otherwise.
right.
So that's one thing I've noticed. Hopefully that helps you guys out. It sucks when you have a client who's clearly injured and we can't really do anything for them because there's just no evidence to say one way or the other.
Perfect. Now, how about, okay, now the cops become pretty aggressive sometimes when it, oh, the dash cams? Before we get on the dash cams real quick, the cops become pretty aggressive when you're in a car accident, they're trying to figure out what happened, so they show up and they're like, what happened? And you're like, oh, it was him, and they're like, oh, it was him, and they're
Yeah.
like frustrated, they're trying to do their job, and then, they're getting lies,
Yeah.
and then, at that point, do you have the right to ask for your attorney to make a statement because you feel intimidated, or do you have to give a statement to a traffic, on a traffic scene like that?
It benefits your case to give a statement
Right away.
because whatever you end up saying goes on the police report, and that police report, even though it's considered admissible hearsay, usually the insurance carriers on both sides will kind of take it for what it says. Now, obviously, just like you said, if you have two sides that are lying, like one side says the light was red for them, the other side, or green for them, the other side says the light was green for me, then it really doesn't help. But it's better to have your statement in there, because if the other side says the light was green and then you just refused, or if yeah, let's just assume it's you refuse to make a statement, then the insurance carrier will eventually use that to their benefit and say, oh, well, the police report said our guy even told them right then and there that it was green, and your your client or whoever didn't yeah, they didn't argue with
They
it,
weren't
right?
cooperating, pretty much, yeah. Okay, that makes sense, and I get that. Is that a CCW puppet? Somebody is asking.
CCW puppet?
This guy?
No.
No, that's CC Dumpsticks, actually. You guys don't know him. Advice if pedestrians get hit by a vehicle.
So that's a tough one. And by tough, I mean it sucks for the pedestrian. But it's pretty much the same thing. If you're able to give a statement to the police, you should. If you can find a witness, you can, or you should. The difficult thing is if you're a pedestrian, normally you're pretty fucked up, right? If you get hit by a car, it's not a fun event.
No, it happened to me. I was out auditing and it happened to me. So
you were out auditing and you got hit by a car?
Yeah, some guy pulled out of the driveway full speed and I tried to run out of the way and boom.
Yeah, even a minor hit like that. I mean, not that was minor, but like somebody pulling out of it can cause some serious damage.
Yeah,
right?
just a simple pulling out, but even at a higher speed is even worse. So. Yeah, that's pretty crazy, and it's possible, and it happens all the time. People get hit with cars all the time.
Every day.
Especially people on bikes. So if you hit, okay, let's say a car hits you and they take off, and you're on a bike. Is that a felony hit and run, or is
that... I mean it's definitely a hit and run is basically anytime someone gets into an auto accident and they even if they pull over, if they refuse to provide proof of insurance and I think identification, it's technically a hit and run. But like according to the code, it's a hit and run. Now, if you have a situation where you get hit by a car and they just take off, they don't stop, that is a felony hit and run because it caused bodily harm. And I don't remember the penal code section, but there's a section that says if you cause injury, you have a duty to stop and offer assistance.
Give your information and.
If you have automobile insurance.
What about them?
Oh, okay. If you have should I?
No, go ahead.
If you have automobile insurance, there are certain policies or coverages that are known as UM or UIM. It's known as uninsured motorist or underinsured motorist coverage. If you have that kind of a policy, those typically follow the person. It doesn't have to. You don't have to be driving your car. If you're a pedestrian or riding a bike, they will usually cover you, assuming there's no language in the policy that says otherwise. Mm-hmm. And if you get into a hit and run accident, your UM coverage, as long as you meet the requirements, which is usually like make a police report and provide medical bills or whatever it is, your UM policy will usually cover you. And that's something that I've handled for a lot of people, which sucks that the person didn't stop, but it happens.
Okay. Now what about like if there's like you were saying something about dash cams, do dash cams hold up in court? Because I know a lot of times they're saying it's insubmissible for whatever reason.
They have to be authenticated, and the only way you can really, I mean, it's relatively simple to authenticate. Authentication is really just you're saying, hey, look, this is what I claim it is, and you just have to have someone who you have to show chain of custody, meaning that it didn't change between like 6 different hands, right? Because then somebody could alter it, right?
Right.
Chain of custody, and each person in chain of custody has to say that it is what it is. I haven't touched it, I haven't altered it, or whatever, and that will usually allow it to be admissible. But that's when we're talking about trial or litigation, right? Mm-hmm. If we're talking about pre-litigation, meaning outside of a lawsuit, you're just filing a claim, the insurance company is going to take what you can provide them with. So inadmissibility, although it matters in litigation, it doesn't carry much weight when you're dealing with just a claim with an insurance carrier.
Perfect. Okay. Incoming. Can you give memory card to a cop on the scene?
Memory card.
To secure the evidence. Here's the evidence.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a case just like that where a witness had a dash cam. They were like an Uber driver or something, and they automatically. I don't know how they were able to. Oh no. They gave like a flash drive to the CHP officer, and the CHP officer put it onto a CD. Something like that, I think, would be admissible, but you'd probably have to have whichever officer it was that accepted the flash drive give some kind of testimony to say that, yes, I did receive it, I did take it to the station, blah, blah, blah. Unless, it's likely already in the report, now that I think about it, it was in the report, so something like that would work. But you just showing up to court like, hey, I got a flash drive, you know, that's probably not gonna do anything.
They're not gonna try to view it on
They're
the
like,
site.
fuck your flash
Yeah.
drive, get out of here, dude.
Get outta here. Yeah, submit it for evidence or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now, how about, there's a lot of people that are like pulled out of their vehicle on a traffic stop and, you know, they're pulling out the driver, the passenger, and let's just say that it smells like pot in there because a lot of people are doing that these days, right?
California.
It's the new thing, you know, drive down the street and, you know, smoke it up. That's what people are doing.
Yeah.
And they're getting pulled over, and obviously, if they weren't seen doing that, but they were profiled in some sort, you know, for whatever, they made a wrong turn, this and that, cop comes up, smells the profile of marijuana, what are they supposed to do at that point?
So-
I mean, are they supposed to, you know, obviously, they're gonna ask the driver if he's smoking, most of the time he's gonna say no. So
Right.
what is the cop gonna follow up on that? Are they gonna start doing the little eye test, or?
That's an Arvon question. Just from my own limited knowledge, just stay silent. I wouldn't talk, I wouldn't say anything. But this is a question I think we should definitely follow up when Arvon gets here, because I'd like to know too.
Yeah, okay, all right, we'll wait for him.
Yeah.
Right now, we're talking to Valley Accident Lawyer Reza H. Mikhchi.
Oh, you gotta write the Mikhchi. It's a tough one. You gotta
Mikhchi. Mikhchi. And you know, this guy is gonna be handling the rest of my cases as long as he's willing to take them. So there you go. Hell yeah. And if you guys ever have any questions or need assistance with traffic, is that backwards? Is it backwards?
Oh, it's good. I
Okay.
mean,
Oh, because I know on selfie mode it flips everything reverse. So.
it's a little
Oh,
good.
it is backwards.
Just hold up the screen to a mirror. You'll be good.
Here, let me switch over here. Hold on, sorry guys. There it is. There it is. Sorry about that. I didn't know you guys knew how to read backwards. Flip it around the other side. Over here. There you go. And then let's see the back. Go this way a little bit.
Boom.
Right there.
Tell me what you guys see in that logo.
Is that down? All right, guys. So just shout out to Valley Accident Lawyers. If you guys ever need any type of assistance, make sure and give him a ring and get his advice. You know, you never know when this can help you out. So we're just sharing information, guys. We meet new people every day, and we're trying to help out the community. So we'd love to share information when we get it. Accidents on private property, like Target, Walmart. Do cops have jurisdiction on that property, or how does that work?
Well, it is so. Usually, cops, they're not going to make a report. Well, when you say accidents, I'm assuming they mean like a car accident in a parking
Yeah,
lot.
maybe two cars
Yeah.
in the parking lot.
So in that kind of situation, when you're driving, if you call the police, they'll usually make a police report. But if you're talking about like slipping or tripping and falling at a Target, no, the person who's in the best situation to make a report is likely the security company or Target employees. Or
Okay.
I'm saying Target, but you know what I mean. Whatever
Right,
whatever location you're at.
The
whatever
Target
store you're at.
location.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Okay, so what about like, let's just say you're driving in a private parking lot and you don't stop at one of those stop signs. Does the cop have jurisdiction in
That's a
there?
good question. So it depends on whether that stop sign has been listed or identified with the Department of Transportation as an actual sign.
Okay.
Right, so like if I go and I put a stop sign up in my driveway, just because I don't want people like run over my kids or something,
Right.
you don't really have to listen to it. It's not
Right.
a sanctioned or an authorized stop sign or an authorized traffic signal.
Got you.
If they've done that, and it's really hard to kind of figure out whether they have, you kind of have to, well, not really hard, it's just a pain in the ass.
Yeah, you gotta go to the city and
Yeah,
find
and
out
find that stuff out.
if it's a public road.
Most of the time, if you're dealing with a store like Walmart or these like big chain stores, they're usually legitimate, and you have to abide, right? Because at the end of the day, they're there for safety.
I know that a lot of, even though it's a private business, if you have a driveway that comes in and goes out on the other side, or goes in, comes around, comes back out, usually that roadway is open as a public access, but I'm not sure if it has, like actual, like street signs that are from the city. I think they would have their own private properties, like signage. But I know that I've called the city before to find out, hey, this guy tried to trespass me, where's private and where's public? Oh no,
Right.
you got public all the way around the parking lot, this and that, so, you know, it's just kind of tricky to determine that. Do you have to respond to a traffic light ticket?
Sorry, dudes. Yeah, you do. I mean, you don't have to, but if you don't, same thing, right? It's just going to make the problem worse. Eventually, we had a client who didn't take care of a speeding ticket 10 years ago in Malibu, and he was a knucklehead 10 years ago, and now he's like married, he's got kids, got a steady job, got pulled over for like, I don't know, speeding or something, and they opened it up, and the Malibu courthouse shut down many years ago, so nobody ever followed through, but there was a warrant set out for his arrest. 10 years later, when he's got a wife and a brand new kid, he's handcuffed, taken to jail. They impound his car. They did a bunch of stuff because of that warrant. So it's again, you don't have to do anything, but it's in your best interest to either to respond in a way that you think is best. Either fight it, hire an attorney, fight it, or just if you don't want to deal with the hassle, then just take care of it.
It's not gonna go away.
It's not going to go away. Very rarely do things ever go away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Herpes is for life.
Yeah. And the government is a herpes. Accidents on freeways hitting homeless person. Can I sue the city?
That's a developing area of law. I hate to say this as an answer, but a lot of it depends. A lot of it depends on what kind of notice the city had. We have a client who had like a merchandise warehouse, or like a shipping warehouse, something like that. And the sidewalk was one of those sidewalks that just kind of get taken over with encampments, and they weren't cooking meth or anything like that, but they just had a stove and they would cook their food there, right? There were, in that particular case, there were a lot of the businesses in the area had complained that and there was already a fire scare one time because one of the tents caught fire or something like that. So in that particular case, because the city had notice of it, when our client's warehouse burned to the ground because another fire spread out, although the city hasn't accepted liability yet, I'm very certain we're going to have to pony up eventually.
Very interesting. Can Reza help in other states?
So no, every attorney can only practice in the state that they're barred in. Now you can, if let's say if you're in Nevada, if something happens in Las Vegas or something, you had an accident, I could potentially help you with pre-litigation stuff, like helping with insurance claims. But if there's a lawsuit that's necessary, you're better off getting an attorney that's practicing that is licensed and practicing in the state that you're reaching out to. Now there are exceptions. Attorneys can always file what's known as I'm not going to say the Latin phrase because I'm just going to ruin it, but it just means a friend of the court brief, which is like you're asking for permission from a judge in that state to practice in that state under the supervision of a licensed attorney. So it just doesn't make sense to do it like that. You're better off just going with someone who's licensed in that state because they probably know the law better anyway. Like if you were to ask me what the insurance law is in Minnesota or Arizona, I wouldn't know, right?
No,
California, I got you.
Statute of limitations on traffic tickets.
That is an R-bond question. I'm sorry, but I would say what usually on that traffic ticket it says pay by this date. That's probably when you say statute of limitations. If I say back, they can always type back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you say statute of limitations, I'm assuming you mean how you ran a red light and then can you get a ticket 2 years later? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Can you get arrested for something that, like, let's say I was speeding on the highway and
They caught you on camera or something.
yeah, and then they'll fine you later on or what?
It's rare, it's uncommon for that to happen, but if it did, I can't imagine that I can't imagine that it wouldn't be a DA reject. Or what I should say is, I'm fairly certain it would be a city attorney or DA reject case. They wouldn't want to pursue it. And you're probably better off getting a defense attorney in that situation as well, because that's not fair.
So if a ticket is 10 years old, does it go away? No, right?
No.
It
I
never goes away.
just told you about the story. The guy had a ticket 10 years ago. He didn't take care of it.
Yeah.
He got a warrant out for his arrest. It sucks, man. I'm sorry.
It never goes away. No, it keeps building up, right?
We'll save that for Arvon, because I don't want to give bad advice and then somebody ends up getting a ticket or something and or arrested. I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, if they get arrested and then they say, "Oh, you got a warrant over here,"
Reza told me this.
Yeah. There's a lot of times that you get arrested today and then tomorrow they're transferring you to Orange County because you got a warrant. Then they're transferring you to San Bernardino.
Yeah.
So once you made all your runs, then you're clean slate at that point. You would think, right?
Assuming you hit all the conditions, if there are any, it's best to stay out of that system, man. Because once you're in, they make it as inconvenient as possible to get out, and it's like walking through a landmine, or whatever, landmine, right, or minefield. Thank you. Traps everywhere. It sucks. Are you guys warm?
A little bit.
You're okay? I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna AC on.
Yeah,
Is that
for
cool?
sure.
Let me just hit up the AC because
Right on.
I can tell I'm.
I thought in California red light tickets were. Yeah, I was about to ask him that. Is that down? What's up, everybody? Represent. We're out here with CC Dumbsticks.
Look. I'm okay.
Out here with Reza. Reza's giving us some great advice today. And there's his information one more time for you guys. And pull it back and towards you a little bit. The other way. Right there.
Bam.
Valley Accident Lawyers LLP, guys. Make sure and if you need his information, we're gonna flip the card around, and we got all his information on the back of the card. If you guys never need any assistance here in California, especially, or probably more
SoCal.
all SoCal, guys, just SoCal, and this is your guy, man. You gotta get some advice and give him a call if you have any questions. All right, so another question that somebody just asked was that I thought traffic lights were illegal in California.
Traffic lights?
Yeah, the light cameras, the traffic light cameras.
Oh, that would be really cool. I don't think they are, but I wish. That's got to be something that we, again, ask Arvon.
Well, I know that the company was like contracted out of another state that owned the cameras, and I thought that they had, in Arizona, right? Yeah, it was contracted out of Arizona, and I thought that they had made them illegal. So, but I see cameras.
I still see them flash. Yeah. They might just be on like autopilot. Who knows? But
yeah.
You wouldn't believe it, but traffic tickets, moving violations are actually a criminal side. I know a little bit about them because of how they kind of roll over onto auto accidents, but for the most part, that's a question you want to ask the criminal defense attorney.
Okay.
Arvon, who should be here.
He flaked on us.
He did. Sorry, guys.
He doesn't fit through the door. He's a big guy.
Hey, if he comes back, you guys, if and when he comes, somebody please comment on how small his hands are. Just throw in a question like that, okay?
They want that attorney to answer questions with a puppet.
Yeah. You don't like it? It's kind of cool. Oh, like this? No. I'm not a ventriloquist.
Oh my god.
That's cool.
What have you noticed that like as far as like lately, what have people been getting accidents in for, like red lights, stop signs,
Rear ends. Yeah, and I think it's because, like I said, texting. Like you're on your phone or you're checking your phone. It's not always texting. I say texting, but really it's just on your phone, right?
Yeah.
You're doing something on your phone, whether it is you just look down for a moment,
driving.
you hit the guy. And especially in LA with the traffic we have here, it's like
Yeah.
you got to watch in front of you all the time because, you know, people are stopping for no fucking reason.
Not only
all
that,
the time.
people cut you off.
They
like,
cut you
they don't
off.
even
Yeah,
care.
it's bad news, man. You gotta watch out. Be careful.
What happens if you get in an accident, but somebody actually like cut into your lane and hit the brakes because, for example, there was traffic, you know,
Yeah.
and then you rear-end them.
That's when a dash cam would be really helpful. Remember, your insurance company has a duty to believe you. They have to believe your version of this. Your insurance company has to believe your version of the events, unless there's any other evidence that states otherwise. So if you get into a rear-end accident and you claim to your insurance company, no, the guy got in front of me and slammed on his brakes, they have to believe that, right? Unless that guy and the guy in front ends up filing a lawsuit or something, your insurance company will likely not. They won't fold, so to speak. But that's when dash cam footage comes in handy. And in that kind of situation, obviously what you want to do is have an objective witness. And earlier when I talked about getting a witness, you want to have someone who's objective. Objective means disinterested, right? Not your buddy, not your girlfriend, not your wife or partner, whatever. You want to have someone who, like a bystander, somebody who has no reason to lie, right?
Right.
And in a situation where you have someone who gets in front of you and slams on the brakes and forces you to rear end them, that's really important because rear ends are almost always same thing. It's the law presumes you're at fault unless
Right.
you can prove otherwise.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Perfect, man. That's good stuff, man.
It sucks
of
that these
these-
questions exist, right? Because
Yeah.
people do some shady shit.
You know, I'm trying to think back to like situations that not only I've been through, but like stuff that I see on the road, you know? So
Yeah.
That's where the questions are coming from.
Sure.
I'm not just like this traffic guy that knows all these
It's like
situations, you know?
A list of like a diary of questions. To go
Yeah.
by.
Plus, we got a lot of people asking questions. Is silence boy worth what?
Defending in court.
Defending in court.
Silence boy.
You don't want to know?
Oh.
No, that was a silly question.
Oh.
Um,
Everybody's worth defending in court.
Yeah.
I think everyone deserves their own defense.
they deserve their fight.
Yeah,
Well, innocent until proven guilty, right?
that's right. That's
So-
absolutely right.
Now, let's give it a minute. It's trying. And we're back.
Oh, we're back. Oh, cool.
Potholes. Okay, let's ask that question real quick. So, potholes in the city. Can you sue the city for damaging your vehicle?
So, again, the answer again, and I'm sorry for this answer, is it depends. A lot of it always depends on notice. The city had to have been notified of a particular pothole or like a risk or a hazard that was there. And I would encourage you guys, if you're driving around, and you see a pothole like near your house or whatever it is, it's really, they've actually made it pretty easy to report potholes that need to be repaired, and LA is pretty good about getting it done like within like 2 weeks. I think if you dial 311 or just quickly Google search, report pothole in my city, it's very simple. Now, let's say if you have someone who did that, right, or multiple people who did that on a particular pothole, and the city did nothing, and 2 months later you drive over that pothole and it causes damage to your car or something like that, yes, you can probably get the city to pay for it. But in my experience, the city they have a standard operating procedure when it comes to this stuff. You'll make the claim, they'll tell you to fuck off, and then you're gonna have to file a lawsuit, whether it's in small claims or whatever it is. It sucks, but sometimes you get lucky, and the city's insurance company, which is Carl Warren, takes care of it. It's really frustrating dealing with them. Good luck.
How about you hit a pothole and it throws you into another vehicle?
So
like, are you gonna be liable?
in
as
that
your-
situation, yeah. So no, you're not gonna be liable, but you definitely, if you have insurance, your insurance company, let's assume that happens, right? And you cause injury to someone. That person's eventually going to file a lawsuit or do something against
Right.
you. It's important that you let your insurance company know so that they can get you they're gonna pay for a defense attorney who is eventually gonna interview you and get all that information. Now, a lot of times things don't happen as quickly as they should, so it's very important if something like that happens where you know that it was someone else's fault. It's a good idea to just take pen to paper and write down what happened as you remember it as quickly as you can, so that in the event that you are in a lawsuit and you don't really talk to anybody until 2 years down the line, you can always use that document to refresh your memory. Because if you're just going by memory, you're gonna forget shit, and it's just not. My mentor used to say the shortest pencil outlasts the longest memory. Pretty good advice.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so I know we have a couple more questions here. What about the size of the pothole? Does it matter, like if it's like a small one, or does it, if it's, you know, do they have to go and measure it, or?
No, I don't think so. I think in a lot of the reporting areas, you can actually, if you're doing it by paper and mailing it in, there's like a diagram where you can kind of draw it. If you're doing it by email, you can just snap a photo, and even that's not necessary. As long as you can tell them precisely where it is, like, you know, the northbound side of the eastbound traffic on Ventura Boulevard or something like that, you know.
Gotcha.
That'll probably work.
What about for like, do you do like DUI stuff, or do you ever get like
I don't.
DUI, like somebody trying to defend themselves because they were drunk and they hit somebody?
So.
Or that's criminal.
Yeah, that's criminal.
Okay.
I have some cases where we have, you know, people who are driving under the influence, you know, run into our clients and injure them, and we manage those. We seem to manage those pretty well. I've never seen a criminal defendant, or I should say, a civil defendant who also has a pending criminal case defend themselves in a criminal court. They usually hire an attorney or a public defender.
Gotcha.
You know, there's a lot to know to do this stuff, and doing it on your own is unwise.
If let me see if like, say there's no traffic on the road and you were speeding and a cop pulls you over, is there a way to fight that? Like saying that there was no risk of injury, there was nobody around?
Yeah. Short answer is no. The speed limit is there. If it's 35 and you're going 36, technically you broke the law and they can give you a ticket for that. You know, is that the right thing? No, right? It's kind of fucked up if they do that. But if there's no traffic and it's like whatever 2 o'clock in the morning and you're going 75 and a 65 on the freeway, you're right. You probably aren't going to cause any damage or anything like that. But ultimately, if it gets in front of a judge, the judge is not going to care. They're going to say, well, you know, you were speeding, which is kind of fucked up because I've actually seen cops pull people over who were going, you know, 40 miles an hour on the highway when everyone's going 65. And they let them go, and that guy's causing as much of that guy's at greater risk of causing an injury than the guy who's going 75 or 80 miles an hour on the freeway when it's, you know, empty.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Don't drive slow. Don't hold me to that. Never mind. I take it back.
What if you're arrested for an issue that was already taken care of? Like, who's responsible for that time? If you get arrested, but you know, that situation was taken care of and it's just like a lingering thing in the system.
So if it's a mistake, meaning like, you know, somebody messed up and they didn't put down that this is resolved,
right,
then it's going to be a pain in the ass to deal with. Actually, in any event, it's going to be a pain in the ass to deal with. But if it's a mistake, it's usually easier to correct. Unfortunately, you can't get any kind of civil reward for that unless you can show that it unless you can prove how it affected you, like your damages or injury. But if it's something that you think was taken care of, like, oh, you know, I did all my probation or whatever it is. Again, you want to confirm this with Arvon because I don't do criminal stuff, but this is something I kind of know about. Don't ask why. And then you want to, you know, if it's like you conditions, but somebody failed to present it or whatever, you're gonna have to do the legwork and prove that it is a mistake. Which is oftentimes hard to do. It's a real pain in the ass.
Do you ever find yourself fighting a case that you know you're not going to win, or?
You know what?
You're just, you know, like you have your duty as a lawyer to.
Yeah. So when I first started, I worked for a big law firm, and because I was new and I was green, I got like the bottom of the barrel, like the worst of the worst cases that you can get. Like, and I would do my job, you know, and I would do what I could, and I did okay. I told myself when I went on my own, I wouldn't take these cases where, you know, I wouldn't take cases where I knew it was going to be a losing battle. And now a losing battle is different than, oh, my guy was wrong, right? Like there's a very thin line there.
Yeah.
So I try not to take those kind of cases, and I try to. My thing is I try to just kind of be transparent and just tell it like it is, and I tell them like, hey, look, man, yeah, you have a case, but it's not really worth pursuing because it's going to be a full uphill battle for you, and at the end of the day, you're not going to really make much because it's not worth it for you.
Right.
But oftentimes, sometimes I act with my heart and I feel bad for the person I want to help, so I end up shooting myself in the foot. But
Yeah.
We do what we can.
You gotta do what you gotta do, right? What about like radar detectors?
It's kind
You
of
know,
cool. I don't know about those. I've seen them. I remember as a kid, like my dad had one. Like he thought that it would prevent him from. I'm assuming they mean like the laser gun, the radar gun. Yeah, I don't know if they work. That's again. These are all questions that.
Devices that block radar detectors.
I don't know if they're legal. I really don't. I wouldn't be surprised if they're illegal because we do kind of live in an age where, anything that gets in the cops' way, it all of a sudden becomes a problem. But
Interference.
yeah, come on, man. But I'm sure you guys have gone through that, or you guys have gone.
Yeah, well, I mean, for the most part, we always like run up on cops that are just sitting there with their radar. We'll stand in front of them, like, what are you doing?
That's
Get out of here.
That's fun.
I don't like it, but I mean, that's one way to prevent it, right?
Yeah, it's very cool. That's very cool.
Yeah, I think that's the radar prevention right there. Go stand in front of it. But do those hold up pretty good in court when cops are using radars? And I know I've seen a lot of cases where you have to look when it's calibrated and all this stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. There's a lot of procedure that goes into making sure that it's calibrated and stuff. And if they haven't done that, then I think it's pretty easy to overcome. But knowing, the cop has to do requires you to know what they have to do, or knowing what the cop didn't do requires knowing what he's supposed to do, or he or she is supposed to do. And that is the part that I think is the hardest. I don't know what they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to calibrate it, but if you have a defense attorney who knows, or if you can, Google it and figure it out, I'm sure there's some way to do it. You guys, I wish you could see my view.
That's funny.
She's a ninja.
I brought over some shirts, guys, for our team out here.
Look at this beard.
So we got the Shala Nation.
Something to strive towards.
This is gonna be for our membership people, but we're out here supporting today, so we brought a bunch of shirts out. Got the SUV News First. Got a couple of different designs, but these are gonna be for the t-shirt giveaways for.
I like that most. That's nice.
Not only for the members. Oh, it disappeared.
You gotta show them that one. That one's nice. It's kind of cool, man.
So these t-shirts will be for the giveaways, but just wanted to bring some out so these guys could represent us too. Is that down? Yeah. So yeah, we got a lot of we're dealing with a lot out here, man. These cops that they think they're above the law and stuff, and profiling and pulling people over for unjust reasons.
Right.
So it's always good to get advice and to try to have a smaller upper hand than we do, not knowing any knowledge at all. Versus having some type of something to fall back on. So that's why we try to come out here and do this.
You're doing the right thing, man. I remember my first year of law school, I thought, dude, this is something that everybody should know. Well, like what I'm learning now is something that every citizen or every person that lives here should know, but they don't. They don't want you to know it, to be honest.
Right.
And you gotta jump through hoops to get there. But
Yeah.
knowing your rights is very, very important. So good job.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
Thanks. Yeah, we're trying to inform people because, you know, a lot of times we're profiled and harassed by the cops, and we're just willingly giving up all our information and everything, you know, because we don't know any better.
Right.
So might as well, you know, let the people know that, you know, you have your right to your privacy. You know, you create your own privacy even if you're in public.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want your face taken a picture of, you cover it up, put some glasses on, you know, or put a box over your head, whatever, you know.
Okay, cool.
Your own privacy. You have to do that in public, you know, and a lot of people don't understand that. So that's where a lot of our videos come into play, where people, you know, they criticize us for filming in public, but it's not illegal. Oh yeah, so jaywalking. Let me. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because, you know, let's say I'm at my house in a, you know, little cul-de-sac neighborhood, and I'm walking across the street, and a cop pulls up and says, "Hey, get out of the street. You're walking in the roadway. I'm gonna give you a ticket." You know, like how's that gonna hold up in court? And what should I do? Should I bow down to his commands? And
I don't know that. If you're in a residential area, I can't, and especially if you're in a cul-de-sac, I can't imagine that anything that would ever hold up in any court. Although, you know, there are some judges who are just they bleed blue, and they're gonna side with law enforcement.
Yeah.
I think it's wrong. If you're in a preferential road or like a boulevard, like a commercial street, think of like not a residential, anything
Right.
other than a residential where there's businesses and there's high
Right.
traffic.
yeah,
You know, can they ticket you? Yes. Will it hold up in court? That's a whole other story. I think it kind of depends on all the variables.
yeah. I noticed that a lot of times we're out there filming and we walk up, you know, off the sidewalk. If a cop pulls up, we'll walk up to his car, you
Right.
know, go approach him, lean in or whatever. Hey, what's going on? Whatever, you know. And then they want to use, you know, get off the street. You're on the road, you know. But legally, we can be 5 feet off of
Yeah,
the curb.
I think you can. I was gonna say, like, how else are you gonna get to your car,
Yeah.
right? If that's the case.
Oh, how far on the roadway can you be? Well, we just answered that
Yeah,
one.
there you go.
You know,
We read our minds, or we read yours.
ticket someone getting into the. So can you ticket? Can they get a ticket if they're getting into the car? Which probably
No,
be a
that,
no, right?
that makes no sense.
Yeah, because I've actually got detained, handcuffed, and you know, they searched me and pulled my ID out, ran my stuff because I stepped onto the roadway.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
So
Man.
yeah, so
Stuff like that
I
is-
think it's more of a retaliation thing, but I don't think that type of situation is gonna hold up because I got the ticket, but they never filed it.
Yeah,
So
I think, like I said, like whenever the city attorney or the DA gets a hold of those, they look at it and they're like, dude, what the fuck? I can't pursue this, and then it becomes like a reject. I just burped. I'm really sorry if it smells
Oh,
like
sorry.
garlic. I'm so sorry.
I didn't even notice, but
Get away, get
thanks
away.
for advising.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Is Silence Boy bringing pizza? No, I don't think so. Not today.
Sounds good.
So, what else can you share with us, man? Like, I mean, personal experiences as helping people out here.
Yeah, one thing if anybody out there has been in an accident or recently been in an accident or within the last 2 years, I can say one of the things that I've noticed is the insurance carriers have been, well, let me back it up. When you get into an accident, you make a claim with someone's insurance. You got to submit whatever evidence you have in order for the insurance carrier to make you whole again or to compensate you, right? In my experience, pre-COVID, right, the insurance carrier would usually offer, if we're talking about an accident where it's not like, you know, broken bones and eyes gouging or anything like that, it's just soft tissue injury like muscle soreness or neck pain, whiplash, what have you. In those cases, I noticed that insurance carriers would usually offer as settlement something like 2 to 3 times whatever your total reasonable medical bills were, right? Like if you went to some voodoo shaman who sprayed you with goat blood and then charged you $40,000, they're not going to pay for that, right? But that's usually how it was. But after COVID, when the economy kind of went to shit, even though it's whatever made some kind of recovery, it seems like the insurance carriers are offering far less now, and I think that's because they know people are strapped for cash and they're just hoping that you'll accept. So if you're in that kind of situation and you know you're dealing with that, it's unfortunate that you're dealing with it, and I'm sorry that it's happening to you, but just keep up the fight.
Would you say get a lawyer at that point if the other party's insurance is trying to buy you out?
I'd say get an attorney no matter what, because at the end of the day, they know. A lot of times, if they make an offer before you even have an attorney, and they make an offer within like whatever 2 weeks, they know that there's a problem, and you would be selling yourself short, or you would be selling your claim short if you accepted it right there. Oftentimes, getting an attorney will help increase the total value of the claim, or total value of the claim. But you gotta be careful, because attorneys, they charge their fees, and sometimes even though the whole case settles for more, you walk away with the same. So it's kind of a take that with a grain of salt kind of thing.
So
Yeah.
Is it worth it, really, right?
Exactly. At the end of the day, is it worth it, right? Because you could get whatever, let's say $2,000 today without doing anything. But if you hire an attorney, they do their thing, you go to the doctor, whatever it is, you might settle for more, but you walk away with $3,000 2 years down the line. So in that kind of situation, or a year down the line, that's not the kind of attorney I am, just first and foremost. But it sucks. It happens, and sometimes it's just a personal preference.
How important is it to report your injuries after an accident, like say, to get like a physical or checked up?
Yeah, great question.
And what's the circumference, when it's too late that you should have went months ago?
Right. Yeah. So there are.
Or attacked.
If you're in an accident or attacked.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to let them know as soon as possible. The way insurance companies work is, you have the boss, and then you have the claims adjuster, right? The claims adjuster is just there to take your claim, get whatever evidence they can, and then tell their boss, hey, based on A, B, C, D, I think this case is worth this much, right? And then the boss will give that claims adjuster some authority to settle it, and they'll say, okay, based on what you're telling me, try to sell it. Okay, we'll give you authority for $10,000, but if you sell it for $6,000, you'll get a bonus at the end of the year. That's why they're incentivized to minimize your claim, by the way. Now, that adjuster has 90 days from the date of your accident, the date the claim is opened, to tell their boss what the claim's value is. So the more information you can give them about injuries, the better the claim will be. Oh, here he is, he made it. The more likelihood your claim will increase in value, or the easier it'll be to get a higher amount.
I have a question.
Oh, great. Oh, here we go.
Sure. Are those your real eyebrows?
Are those your real hands? Oh.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
All right.
Let me get this out for you. We were just talking about accidents. There are a lot of criminals watching. That's not what I meant. There are a lot of questions about criminal law that I think you're in a better position to answer.
I have some serious questions.
Oh yeah, people want to know why does Arvin have tiny hands?
You son of a bitch.
I didn't say anything.
And a green man bun.
You can go back and watch. Rewind.
I hate you so much.
I didn't say anything. Guys, back me up.
Hey, here's
Why is hands so tiny?
Go like this?
I'm not going like
Never mind.
Just say hi, bro. Just say hi.
I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, so you get
Let me
into
see. Put your hands right here, bro.
you guys stay away from
Right.
God damn it. I'm not talking. I'm leaving. I'm not talking.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Oh,
Let me put him up here.
What the hell is that?
That's CC thumbsticks.
I don't know. I'm sure there's some story behind it. So I have a question. You get
the way he
into an
sleeps.
accident. Hey, asshole.
I'm listening.
You get into an accident, okay?
Uh-huh.
And it's debatable as to whose fault it is.
Mhm.
Okay? So you get out and naturally you want to say shit like, oh, it wasn't my fault. Whose fault was it? What's the best thing to do? Do you speak to the other person, or you just stay quiet, contact your insurance?
That's great. If you were here on time, then you would have heard the answer to that. But since you came late, we'll just repeat for you what everybody else here has already heard. So the best thing to do is to get an objective witness. We talked about whether or not it's a good idea to talk to law enforcement and if there's a police report made. But it's usually a good idea. It's in your best interest to talk about what happened. It might not be best to speak to the other driver if they're aggressive or you think that it might escalate into something, worse than just a civil act, like an auto accident, right? Because at the end of the day, accidents happen and it sucks, but it's an accident. And the last thing you want to do is turn an auto accident into like a battery, whether it's you doing it to them or them doing it to you.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. See, the criminal defense attorney at work, ladies and gentlemen.
Allegedly. What about if you get into an
Arvon
accident?
Gary, everybody.
If you,
This
hi.
is our,
Oh,
hey,
I mean, hi. Hi.
compare his hands to mine.
I'm not gonna.
Just kidding.
Hands is the only area you'll win in.
Oh, really? Yeah. Really?
What if someone hits you and they don't have insurance? How, what can cover that?
So if
Because that's happened to me.
If the person who hit you doesn't have insurance, if it depends on what kind of coverage you have. If you have uninsured motorist coverage through your insurance carrier, then you are usually protected, depending on the terms of the policy. But that's one thing you all want to look into is UM or UIM insurance, because there are people who are driving without insurance, and if it's their fault, you want to make sure that you protect yourself in that event. Outside of that, if you don't have UM coverage, you can go after the other driver personally. But oftentimes, if they don't have insurance, I think you can safely assume that they don't really have anything to compensate you with.
What if you're the person without insurance? Do you have and you're in an accident and it's not your fault? You are not at fault. You're driving someone
And you have no insurance?
and you have no insurance. How fucked are you?
You're not. I mean, well, in that case, you're known as it's Prop 213, and Prop 213 was a law that says that if you don't have auto insurance and someone else is at fault, then you are only entitled to your special damages. Special damages are basically anything that has a bill, right? So your medical bills, your car repairs, if you broke your phone, if the phone broke in your car or something like that. But stuff like pain and suffering, inconvenience or humiliation, all that other stuff, that's not covered. Now there are exceptions to that. For example, if you're a passenger, obviously that doesn't matter if you didn't have insurance. If the other driver was convicted of a DUI or driving under the influence, then you can still get your general damages. But oftentimes, all you're entitled to are your bills.
Want some water?
Yes, please. Wait, Arv, there's a question for you too, by the way, when you come back. Just telling you. 2 minutes, guys. 2 minutes. Throws in 3 questions that we already answered and bounces.
I know, right? What's up with that? We were on game until Arvon showed up. This is good stuff, man. I appreciate you having us today, and
I appreciate you being here.
sharing
This is very cool.
all this wonderful information, and hopefully, people will,
If it helps one person, that's awesome.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, right?
Yeah, for sure, man. Can you sue the police for not arresting someone, like a PPA, private person arrest?
For not arresting someone,
Yeah, like if you say, oh, this guy stole my phone, even though he gave it back when the cops got there, for example. This guy comes and steals my shit, but the cops get him and they're like, oh, here's your phone back. And I'm like, oh, PPA that guy because he stole my shit, and the cops like, nah, I give you your phone back.
I don't know the answer there, and I think that does kind of fall into civil, and I guess arguably criminal too. But I don't know the answer to that. I'm sorry. I wish I did. I've only ever seen one instance of a PPA in civil law, and that was in that case it was a security guard who did a PPA, and the officers came and they actually arrested the guy. But in that event, I was like, okay, well, it's a security guard. I guess that's why it was allowed, but or that's why the cops accepted it. Mm-hmm. But for like a private citizen, not a security guard or just a civilian walking around, I rarely ever hear about the cops arresting or following through with the PPA. Even though technically you're allowed to do it, right? It's
no, I mean it's bound by law.
Yeah.
For them to proceed with it. If I say you hit me, arrest them, and they're like, have a good day.
Yeah.
Then
there's a lot of that going around today.
Yeah. Oh, especially with people that are keeping police accountable.
Yeah.
They don't want to, if they know, because we don't only just film the cops, we film private businesses, we film on the sidewalk, walking down the street, in public area, in a public area, in a neighborhood, obviously, not on private property. But a lot of times people come out, hose us with their water hose, or
Oh,
come
that's
out and
fucked up.
smack our stuff, and we're like, arrest that guy, and they won't do it. If you get in an accident in someone else's vehicle, whose insurance gets hit? Like, as a passenger, I guess, right?
Like, yeah.
Oh,
so
like, oh, if I'm driving somebody else's.
So that always complicates things, but the rule of thumb is driver's insurance first, owner's insurance second. If the driver doesn't have insurance, then the owner's insurance takes over. But when you have an owner who lends their car to someone, let's say if I have my car and I have a 100,000 insurance policy, I let you borrow my car, you drive it. Burped again. Sorry, dude. If I lend my car to you, I want to say 95% of insurance contracts have a provision in there that says it's called the permissive use exception, which means I have $100,000 coverage on my car, but if I lend it to someone, that drops down my 100,000 to 15,000, or the state minimum.
Wow.
And that's the permissive use exception. So,
Damn, so if the damages are more than that, what happens?
it's capped at 15,000.
Oh,
So
okay.
the registered owner of a vehicle, if they're not in the car, they have nothing to do with the accident, their liability is, or their insurance company's liability is, scratch that, their liability is 15,000. And the insurance company will only cover 15,000 regardless of how big the policy is.
Got you. So if you hit like a Mercedes or something that's like total loss, you're screwed.
That's even worse
Do you
because,
have to pay for the overage on that, or it's gonna cap out and then the other person just loses?
so here's the thing, the insurance company, they'll offer you the limits, and in order to offer the limits, they'll ask you to sign a release. So if you elect to not sign the release and seek more, the insurance company's not going to give you the 15, right? They're saying, hey, we'll offer you the 15 or whatever they have available if you sign this, which relieves your rights to seek more. It's kind of fucked up, man.
Yeah, because then
They got a foothold on this.
they
shit.
don't want you to come back again with another 15.
Yeah.
Because you capped out. Got you. Someone hits you or your car, they are from Canada or Mexico. Like, what happens then?
That's so we've had situations like that. Unfortunately, if they reside in this state or in this country, then you still have some options, right? You want to find out if they have insurance. If they have insurance, great. It's kind of the same thing. That nothing really changes. If they don't have insurance, and you have uninsured motorist coverage, then great. You're still taken care of. But if they don't live here or they don't have insurance, in that case, 9 times out of 10, you're SOL.
SOL.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Damn. That's horrible.
Maybe you buy a lottery ticket the next day because luck might come back around and help you. But other than that, we had a case like that where the guy got into an accident. He was here on vacation from Mexico, went back like a week later. Could never find them after that.
No charges
Yeah.
ever filed, nothing ever claimed.
Because it's an accident, right? They're not gonna. No one's gonna arrest him for an accident. But
No.
he doesn't want to be responsible, so he bounced right
It
away.
just goes back and
Yeah.
that's it.
He goes back 6 months, comes back, and you'll never find him again.
No trip. You are stopped, someone hits you from behind and you hit a car in front of you. Are you at fault or is it the car behind you?
Great question. So you are okay. Legally speaking, in California, you have whenever you have multiple defendants, meaning multiple potential defendants, I should say, each one is jointly and severally liable for the whole thing, no matter how small their part in the damage was, right? So when you get rear-ended by someone and you hit the person in front of you, even though you're fully stopped, the argument that I've heard from the other side is, well, you were stopped too close, and had you not stopped so close, you wouldn't have hit our guys. So you share some liability in that situation. Now, oftentimes, don't get me wrong, oftentimes the person who's all the way in the back, if they have insurance, their insurance company usually takes 100% of liability. But I've seen that argument where it's like, hey, you parked too close when this guy hit you, even though it's his fault or her fault. If you had done what the code says and kept one car length between you, it wouldn't have caused that injury. It's fucked up. Don't get me wrong, but it has happened. But the person that is in the middle, even though let's say the guy in the back doesn't have any auto insurance, but you have a really good policy, the person in front that you rear-end, they can, as the victim in this thing, they can seek their full damages from you even though you're only even though your percentage of fault is only, let's say, 5% or 10% or 20%, whatever, less than 100 of what I mean, they can be made 100% whole out of your policy, even though this person in the back is 100% at fault and you are 10% at fault. It's the idea is the burden of figuring out how much to get from each defendant should not fall on the victim. It should, at the end of the day, the victim gets made whole, and then you guys figure it out yourselves because you're the ones that caused this kind of thing.
Right.
So when you hear it like that, it makes sense, but it's fucked up.
Yeah, I actually that happened to me too.
Did you?
I got rear-ended. I was in my work van.
Oh, that's even worse.
It was my own it's my own.
Your
personal,
company van.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was actually off of work,
Mm-hmm.
just driving back home, and somebody getting on the freeway. I don't know. There were two cars that were jamming. One of them ends up rear-ended me, and I hit the car in front of me. And they took all the. Actually, the guy was not the owner of the vehicle. It was his mom's car, so it was like this big old thing. But they ended up, the car that hit me and I hit the other car. The first car actually took all the responsibility.
Good.
Yeah, so car and this and that, but somehow it ended up that they were responsible for the whole thing. So
I mean, if you're driving your mom's car, unless you stole your mom's car, it's like, come on, man, she gave you permission.
Yeah, for sure. You are stopped. Someone hit you. Wait.
Sound good? Video stuck.
Sound
good. That.
Oh.
Thing. Is it plugged in? I think the top might not be plugged in.
Film the police.
Sorry, guys.
Cool.
And we're back. Oh, we got a new member. Appreciate it. Thanks. Big Daddy in the house. What's up with it? Hey, Big Daddy, send me your info. I'll send you out a T-shirt. The Shala Nation.
Shala Nation.
Oh yeah, thank you for joining. Appreciate you all tuning in today. We're out here in the city of San Fernando with our guy right here from Valley Accident Lawyer, and we're pretty much gonna represent his card right here, so you guys can also have his information if you guys ever need to talk to someone in regards to traffic accidents. If you ever need some type of defense, make sure and give our guy Reza a call. He's waiting for your call, guys. And he's willing to help. He's here for the community. He wants to make sure that if he can help, he's here for you guys. So make sure and shout him out. Go give him a call when you need his help, guys.
I really hope you never need it because, that means you got hurt.
Right.
I mean, call me, yeah, but I hope you never need to. That's a better way to say it. Not I hope you never call. That's not what I meant.
So we also have, what happened to Naderi? He disappeared again.
He's probably in the bathroom.
We'll get Naderi back in here, guys, and we'll get some criminal questions answered for you, or some defensive questions. If he can help us out, he'll be willing to help us out. So give us a couple minutes here, and we'll get him back in here, hopefully. But we just been talking about, any situation that can happen on the road, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to type them in, and we'll get our moderator here to relay the messages. Is that down or no? Hit that thumbs up for me as well, guys. I know a lot of you have already. If you're here to support the channel, and if you like what we're doing, make sure and hit that thumbs up.
It's like you just fell over and died on me, man.
CC Dumbsticks is in the house.
There you go. Take a
Our
seat,
guy
bro.
CC Dumbsticks, the abuser. We'll just call him the abuser. The abuser is here, guys. Represent with the abuser in the house. Oh shit! Somebody else wants a T-shirt. Money 878. Appreciate it. Thanks.
That's very cool.
Welcome, guys. Thank you for joining the membership. That is awesome of you. The Shala Battalion in the house. Hell yeah, I got a shirt for the Shala Battalion too, guys. But so yeah, guys, if you guys have any questions, now's the time. We're just out here relaxing, having a good old time today. And he only practices in Southern California as well, guys. So I know there's a lot of people from all over the place watching right now. Appreciate you. But this guy in particular is practicing here in Southern California.
I wish I practiced more or in greater areas, but I'm kind of, in all honesty, I'm a pretty boutique kind of guy. I'm very very small time, I guess is the right word, but I think that's probably one of the strengths that we have is we take the time to sit down and talk to anybody who has an issue.
Yeah, that's good.
Most of the time, a lot of the calls that come in, they just want just some answers, right, or some questions answered. They're not really looking for an attorney. They just need some help. And my idea is, or my philosophy is, you help them, and eventually, at some point, karma has its way of helping you out. Yeah, working its way back.
Nice.
Speed overages.
Differences between traffic and criminal.
Speed overages. Well, I think we kind of touched on this earlier, right? If you're going over the speed limit, it's an automatic moving violation. According to the law, it's a moving violation, and if it is a moving violation, that falls into the criminal category. I think what your question was probably getting at was, when does it go beyond just a moving violation or a citation and then go into like felony zone? And I think that's depending on what state you're in. It all depends on whether you've crossed that threshold from ordinary negligence or carelessness, and you're going into recklessness or intentional conduct, right? Like speeding, like driving 110 miles an hour on the
Or
freeway.
somebody running from the cops. Right?
Yeah,
That
or
would be,
that, right?
That would be considered a felony at that point, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The short answer is, it's always a crime. It's just how severe depends on the circumstances.
Right on.
Yeah, I think that's right.
We are right on it, man. Are you handling us in?
Hell yes, you're getting an invoice.
At the end.
300 an hour. What time is it? All of you. How many members do you have?
We've only been here for about an hour and 15 minutes.
300 times how many members? Times how
We
many?
got 300 watching right now live.
I quit. I'll see you guys.
Yeah. You're done for the year, huh? Oh shit, more membership? What the heck? What's wrong with you guys? Ash, appreciate it. Thanks. Appreciate the dono. Another Shala Battalion.
That's cool, man.
Brian, hell yeah. Send me your information, Brian. sgvnews1@gmail.com. And I'll send you guys out a t-shirt today. Anybody that joins the membership today will get an automatic t-shirt just for being here. Thank you guys. And I also got membership giveaways coming up. I got a lot of t-shirts for the membership giveaway, guys, so be ready for that. You guys will be the lucky selected. And not only that, but we got more content coming out for you as well. Do you expunge criminal record?
I don't. Arvon absolutely does. And if not Arvon, there are a couple other attorneys here in our office that do. And I would highly recommend it, especially if you were a minor at the time. You should definitely get your record sealed. I did. Yeah.
I need to do that.
You should.
Yeah.
It benefits you.
How much does that cost?
That's an Arvon question. But for record sealed, I think it's just a petition and then whatever the court fees are.
Oh,
for
okay.
for the expungement, last I checked, it was $300 for the court fees and then whatever the attorneys charge. But I can't imagine it's more than $750 out here, something like that.
Cool.
Who do you sue for road rage? So can you elaborate on road rage? I'm assuming you mean like if you get battered in a road rage, if somebody you both stop your cars and somebody gets out and like intentionally driving your car into someone. Okay, so something like that, you definitely want to. Okay, you definitely want to make a police report. But if you're talking about road rage where somebody intentionally crashes into you, the problem with that is insurance carriers do not cover intentional conduct. So think about it, and it makes sense, right? If you were an insurance company and you're going to take care of somebody if they have an accident, but then now you're paying for people's intentional conducts, then they would have to pay for every crime that would be committed, right? So in the event that you're in an accident that involves road rage or intentional conduct against you, it's usually in your best interest for it to be negligence and not intentional conduct. Because remember, at the end of the day, normal people don't have tens of thousands of dollars sitting in their bank account ready to pay off your injuries, right? Most of the time it's the insurance company that has that funding available to compensate you. And if you say that, oh, it was a road rage incident and they intentionally hit me, the insurance company's like, oh, okay, great, we're done. We don't have to do shit. You know?
Yeah, you should have said it was an accident.
No, you don't want to lie. I say you never want to lie, right? At the end of the day, I say it to every client. You never want to lie, but you want to tell the truth that serves you, right? And that's not that my wife says that's just a fancy way of saying lie. That's not what it is. It's if you don't know for sure whether the person's conduct was intentional, you shouldn't say. You might think it was intentional, right? But at the end of the day, you don't know what they were going
He
through.
didn't
You don't
see
know.
me and he hit me.
You don't know what you don't know. You only know what your thoughts and actions are, not others.
Oh shit. Isaac, what is it? Valdez?
That's cool.
Appreciate it, thanks! Sorry guys,
ID.
you guys know I have bad vision and my phone is like not even 4 feet away, but it feels like it's 20. Thank you guys. Send me your information. I got a t-shirt for you too, Isaac. Appreciate you.
On that road rage stuff, man, be careful, everybody. There's a lot of crazy drivers out there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's scary.
Well, not only that, but I mean, back to, us filming, we're always getting chased out of places,
Oh man.
People jump in their cars, they follow us to our car, and then if we take off, they're like on our ass. Last time, we were in this like little business area and like on a four-way street.
Mhm.
And my buddy, I wasn't driving, it was Downey was driving, and he made a U-turn, and the guy makes a U-turn. And so Downey makes another U-turn. So now both of us are fucking making U-turns in the intersection, dude. And then we take off, and the guy takes off after us. So it's like, dang, dude, like,
Yeah.
what if this guy like just crashes into us? What's gonna happen? So SGV email address is sgvnews1@gmail.com. SGV News and the number 1. SGVnews1@gmail.com, guys.
Nice.
Is that down or no? Thank you guys all for tuning in today, and appreciate you all being here with us. Just trying to get you guys a little bit of advice as we're out here discussing certain situations, and we never want to give bad advice, so we're just here to learn what we can and try to learn from each other, guys. So try to take the advice the way you want, but we're here on a positive note. Where is it?
We're looking for a question, guys. Well,
Okay, it says, if I got a ticket for $2,500, no insurance, and got it reduced to $25 because I had proof that I had what I needed, 4 years later, I get billed for the full amount because I didn't pay the $25. Is that legal?
yeah, I'm assuming that's in California, and the way it works out in California is, so I'm assuming you went into court, you must have said not guilty because you have proof of insurance, and they said, okay, you could pay 25 as long as you show proof of insurance. Now, the only time that it would have gone back up to the full amount is if you never completed that condition. That's usually the way it works out. I can't guarantee that's what happened here, but it sounds like that's what happened.
So if he showed the judge his proof and then he just never paid the $25 for whatever reason,
Paying that 25 is one of the conditions. So anytime you don't meet the conditions set before you, it's going to go right back to what it was before.
oh damn.
But if you can set a court date and go into court, you're in a really good position to show, like, look, I did this. I thought I paid it.
Yeah.
I don't think at the end of the day, I don't think any judge is going to want to make some poor person who was just driving and got a ticket pay $25. If you tell them, look, this was an accident, it was a mistake, I thought I paid it, and
Yeah.
if you can come up with some real true human reasons, like, I had a newborn at home or something, I think a lot of people can identify with that.
I would just tell him I was being irresponsible and I forgot to pay it.
Fall on your sword, yeah.
Yeah,
that's good too.
because believe me, I've been in front of a judge before, and why didn't you pay? And you're this many months behind. I'm sorry, judge, I was being irresponsible.
Yeah.
dismissed.
Yeah.
You guys take.
Thanks for being honest.
Take advice from this guy right here.
Yeah.
He knows how to be honest, and
Yeah.
he's admitting to his wrong. You know,
That can go a long way.
That does go a long way. Talk about
Uninsured versus underinsured. Great question. Awesome person, whoever asked that.
appreciate it. Thanks.
So uninsured is when you're dealing with someone, just like it sounds, where they don't have any insurance, right? Or they just don't, there's either hit and run or someone who has no insurance whatsoever. Underinsured motorist is someone who has insurance, but their insurance is not enough to make you whole again or to compensate you fully. Now, if you have uninsured motorist coverage, it is automatically uninsured motorist and underinsured motorist coverage. But there's a caveat, right? In California, the law says I'm just going to call it UM policy, okay? So UM means uninsured motorist and underinsured motorist. So if you have a UM policy, California law says that in order for your UM policy to be triggered or to be active, the underlying or the at-fault person's insurance has to be either zero or less than your policy. So let's say I have 100,000 in UM, you run into me, it's your fault, no offense, and you only have a 15,000 policy, my UM will take effect, but your UM policy gets to take a credit for whatever his policy is. There's a lot of caveats and exceptions. In order for your UM policy to really take effect, I would necessarily have to exhaust or get the full amount of your insurance. Because the argument is, if you had 15,000 available here, why did you settle for less?
Right.
If you're claiming that we owe you anything, if you settled it for $8,000, then you're just then $8,000 was what you considered to, or what I considered to be the fair value of your claim. So you have to exhaust the underlying policy in order for your UM policy to take effect, or underinsurance.
Got you.
I know the language is really confusing. They do that on purpose. I'm really sorry, guys.
No worries. I'm all.
I hope that helped.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'm all confused.
I'm all confused.
He just goes back.
CC Thumbs, what do you think?
Dope.
Nice. All right. Moving right along. I got a settlement and was 0% at fault. Can I resue because of long-term issues?
So, you typically no. If you got a settlement and you signed a bodily injury release, in that release, I want to say, again, like 95% of the time, there will be language in there that says that you are waiving your right to Section 1542, which basically says that this is not a general release, and any future injury that might be a result of this accident, I am waiving my rights to any recovery for it. So if you really want to know the answer, you should take a look at the release that you signed, and that'll kind of tell you. If you didn't sign a release, then I think you may have some options as long as the statute of limitations hasn't run.
What about if you were injured 10, 20 years ago and then you got in another accident and got re-injured? Is that considered like a existing injury, or
Yeah.
are they gonna say, oh, you had that already?
So the insurance company is always going to do what they can to minimize your injury. But in California, and actually under common law, there's this thing called the eggshell plaintiff rule. So if you had a pre-existing condition that made it left you more susceptible to injury than like the average Joe, right? That's not your fault. At the end of the day, people have conditions that make them more susceptible to injury.
That's my condition.
Yeah, if they cause the injury, they're gonna have to deal with it. Oh, we got another one. What's that one?
Okay.
Google Gadget Eyes.
What if I make a verbal stipulation that any and all expenses in the future as a result would be on the hands, and they agree? If they agree, then
Well, if it's verbal, I mean, what's going to happen, right? Play that out to its ultimate end.
verbal.
It's a verbal. If it's
Yeah.
a verbal agreement, they're going to say, "I never fucking said that."
yeah, no, it's not in
You know,
writing.
If it's in writing, then I think you got some solid footing. But if it's verbal, man, they're just going to tell you to fuck off. No offense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Thank you for the question.
Yeah, it's a
question.
good one.
Sorry, my vision is really bad, guys. So and then it starts fading in and out. You can probably see it better than me.
I don't know. It's they're just like gray boxes that pop up everywhere.
Where did
I
you
see
get
emojis.
your shirt?
Rebel Scum? You like it?
Is that down?
Yeah, it's
I'm gonna have to make one that says Shalamihala scum.
I would love it. First dibs. First
Right.
dibs. Where did I get it? I think it's. Can I talk? Can I say where I got it?
Yeah,
from?
hell yeah.
I think it's called moonshine.com. It's like a t-shirt company.
Nice.
Something like that. I'm sure if you Google Rebel Scum t-shirt, it'll pop up, man. Or woman. Or entity.
Peeps. My peeps.
Peeps, yeah.
Well, that's cool, man. I like our production today. It's really good.
This is actually a lot of fun. This is
Yeah.
way better than what I do on a regular basis. This is pretty cool.
Wow, and hopefully when people need your help, they're gonna give you a call, man, because they know your personality, and we're talking. It's like if they're talking to you,
Yeah.
So we're kind of getting to know each other right now.
This is serious.
Can I sue myself and get a huge settlement from my insurance?
Actually, so that it's funny you say that. When you are making
good
a
question.
claim, when you're making a claim with your UM or UIM, uninsured motorist or underinsured motorist coverage, you are technically suing yourself, right? Even though you're suing or you're making a claim with the insurance carrier, it's your own insurance carrier. That's why it's called a
Got
first
you.
party claim.
Oh yeah, so
So-
you are suing yourself.
Yeah, we
Wow.
actually had a situation where our clients were father and daughter. Father was driving, daughter was sitting passenger. Father ends up getting liable, and his daughter was injured pretty severely. And the father said, I don't care if I'm at fault, sue me. This is my daughter's health at stake. So he, in that case, even though it was his daughter suing him, she was a minor. He kind of was on board with it, I guess. And yeah, you can, but admittedly, it is kind of a strange situation, and people will kind of do a double take, like, what the fuck are you doing, kind of thing, But if it works out, it works out.
Yeah. Interesting. Naderi's coming back.
I
don't
thought he
know.
was. It looks like he got a call with a client, and
did
he's
he?
got another. He texted me while
damn it.
I was texting to see if he was coming back.
Oh,
It looks like he's got an appointment at
because
2:30.
of the small hands comment.
Yeah, it sucks, man.
You got him, huh?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe.
All right, this is Naderi, guys. This is Naderi saying bye bye.
We should do another one with him there, so we could kind of go back and forth on
Oh,
these kind
yeah.
of questions. That'll help. But
Yeah, people love the content, man. We gotta give them what they want.
Cool.
Gotta be informative,
Yeah. If I wanted to say, if you're from out of state, or anyone, even if I can't help you, feel free to shoot me an email. I'm happy to kind of point you in the right direction, or kind of give you, like I said, just point you in the right direction to kind of get you to where you need to go. If I can help, I will. If I can't, I'll tell you I can't.
Nice.
I hope that helps.
Does your premium go up with every claim?
Fucking solid question. Okay, so by law, at least in California, your insurance premiums should not go up they cannot go up unless you are found greater than 50% liable on any one claim. Now that's one reason, but then there are other reasons why your claim may go, or your premiums may go up. For example, if you make multiple claims within a given state of time, so like let's say 3 claims in a year or 5 claims in 6 months, whatever the case may be, your premiums can go up. And even if you have never made a claim, if auto accidents in your zip code tend to go up or have been going up, then your insurance carrier, when it's time to renew your policy, your premiums will go up, because the whole thing is risk assessment. Think of it like gambling. At the end of the day, they're taking all of the circumstances of you as an insured, and they're playing the odds. They're saying, what are the odds that this person, based on race, gender, ethnicity, occupation, vehicle, zip code, all that stuff, what are the odds that this person will get into an accident and we have to pay for it, right? And if there are a bunch of accidents in your area, they're going to say, okay, well, that increases the odds, so it increases the premiums.
Yeah, I actually had when I got in an accident, my premium didn't go up, but when they renewed it,
It went up.
like $200.
Were you liable?
No.
No, yeah. So it was probably, like I said, had you made more than one claim there or no?
No, but the thing is that I just went with a different insurance company and I got my
Yeah.
rates back down to where
That's
they
usually
were.
what happens. You're better off, like, if your premiums go up and you're not liable for something, you're better off finding another company.
Yeah.
It sucks to say, because it is a pain in the ass to do, but that might be better for your pocket or your budget.
Yeah.
Both.
Can you be ticketed for not turning wheels while parked on a hill?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know. I remember the DMV handbook says to turn it. I don't know if there's a code about it. That's kind of a fucked up reason to give
Oh,
somebody
yeah.
a ticket, though. You know.
They'll do it.
What'd you do? Who'd you piss off? No.
Pissed off the city.
No.
The other day we were chasing this parking enforcement lady. She was over there just ticketing cars. I'm like, what a sad job you have. You're
Yeah.
over here taking people's money just for being parked on the road. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah,
But
man.
I'm like, she has to do her job, but come on.
No, it seems like there's greater focus nowadays. There's greater focus on like the trivial shit like parking, U-turns, stuff like that than actual crimes now. That's just what I've seemed to notice.
Yeah.
The last couple of
What do you do
months.
if you get hit by an on-duty officer?
By an on-duty officer. Okay, we had a case just like this. If they had their if they had their lights flashing and siren wailing, and you got hit and you were following what you were following the vehicle code, then the city or the department could be liable to you. Now there are situations, I forget what code it was, but there's a government code that actually provides immunity to first responders for going to an emergency or running to an emergency. Now I'm not going to go into what the language of the code says, but the rule of thumb is if the officer's conduct created a greater harm or a greater risk of harm than the emergency that he or she was rushing to, then then there's no immunity. That's kind of the way to think about it. So like, if there's a bank robbery going and this guy's speeding the officer's speeding at 80 miles an hour and slams into you, then you can argue like, look, he was going that fast because there was a bank robbery happening and somebody could have died, right? But if it was like, ice cream truck fucking crashed or something, caught on fire or something, then it's like, okay, there's not that much urgency there. So you blasting through an intersection 80 miles an hour and slamming into somebody or T-boning someone it created a greater risk. I mean, at the end of the day, it's balancing, right?
Safety first.
Right, like.
So there was a video surfacing that one of our buddies filmed, and it was a on-duty sheriff that was taking off from a intersection, hit the guy on a bike and keeps on going.
Oh wow.
Okay, so can he be charged with a criminal charge at that point, or is he going to get his immunity?
Were the sirens the red and whites or red and blues?
No, huh?
No.
No, he just took
just
off.
going.
Yeah.
Oh, he's fucked. I mean, he should be fucked. I mean, there should be criminal charges against there. Should I not?
CHP. CHP.
Oh, CHP. Still, there's no emergency there. At the end of the day, we're gonna do hit him like that. Yeah, that's bad. So if there were officers present that could have attended to that person or to the victim, then I think maybe that's the excuse. But if it was just like what you're describing here, they're showing me off screen like one of these. Maybe you could see it.
All right, so this is what happened, guys.
Place it down here.
So the pedestrian on the bike was here, and okay, wait, hold on. Here we go. And this is what happened. Cop hits the pedestrian,
Bam.
backs up, and takes off.
And then just let this dude on the ground.
Just
Yeah,
left him.
that's terrible. That's a clear cut case, I would say. I would say even if there were like first responders or paramedics at the scene where this officer thought, oh, okay, that person will be taken care of, it's still inexcusable, right? I mean, you caused probably a severe injury and you just bounce like that. It's not okay. And your that immunity that I talked about is only when you have red and blues, and your siren blaring. It's like that turns on their immunity kind of thing. If that's not going on, then they have to abide by the normal vehicle code.
What about how about a police officer that pulls over on somebody but doesn't turn their emergency lights on, and they're causing like a danger to other cars? What if you hit them, but they didn't have their red and blues on, and they're in the middle of the road,
So like if the officer, so if they don't turn on the red and blues, if they're breaking their own policy, then there's a really good argument that liability is against them. And I think you're right? Because at the end of the day, the reason why you throw on those lights, or the officers throw on their lights, is to let everybody know, hey, watch the fuck out,
Yeah,
right?
get out of the way.
Yeah, be careful.
Yeah.
If you don't throw on those lights, how is somebody going to be aware? Especially if we're talking about like, 7:30, 8 o'clock, where
Yeah,
like the sun is,
nighttime.
it's, you
Yeah.
can't see it, right?
Right.
It creates more harm than necessary.
What if you get into an accident, other party gives you false information? What's the best practice in that type of situation?
That happens a lot. If you have an attorney, there's a DMV form known as, it's the attorney info request, and you have to show it has to be done by an attorney, where you basically you submit a form to the DMV, send their $5 fee, whatever it is, and you got to give them either a license plate or a name, and then the DMV will send you not whatever information, but some information on that vehicle. Whether it's the registered owner, or all of the registered owners from whatever date you provide them, they can send that to you. Now, that's one way. There are a lot of other ways of figuring it out, but it all kind of depends on what information is available to you. If everything that you received was false and you have no other information, you're kind of SOL. But if you have a license plate, if you have a name or date of birth or something like that, there are ways to find out. But it's kind of a broad area. You're gonna do a little detective work or what I call psycho X work.
So with that being said, like, do you recommend always making a police report when you're involved in a situation? Because you know how sometimes you'll get in a situation that, I gotta go to work,
Yeah, VIN is always a really good way of getting the registration. But remember, if they haven't registered their car to themselves, that kind of gets you to a dead end. But it's a start. You'd be surprised how much you could find out with the VIN. Just to circle back on that question. So I didn't mean to
So
interrupt.
if somebody does say, here's my information, I wrote it all down for you, I gotta go to work. Would you recommend people ask for a picture of their license, insurance,
They should,
registration
yeah.
card,
Take photos of all that if you
the
can.
VIN number, the plate?
Yeah, a lot of people forget that the VIN is a really good way of it's a really good identifier, right? The VIN is typically on one corner of the front windshield, or if you open the driver's side door, it's like if this is the door and you open it, it's right here on this bottom area. So if you can take a picture of it, that's great. Most people don't know that, so they're like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you opening my door, taking a picture?
Yeah, they have that little placard on the driver's side.
The driver windshield, right? Yeah, that's probably the safest one. Do that, and driver's license, insurance card, and license plate. If you can get a picture of the plates, those four: the VIN, license plate, and ID and insurance. You get those four, and I think you're pretty good. Don't get me wrong. There's still situations where it's fabricated or whatever it is, but that will decrease the likelihood of you getting stuck.
It ensures you did your job.
Yeah,
Much, right?
yeah. Your due diligence.
You did your due diligence, and hey, what else can you do at that point? Live stream dash cams for fighting traffic tickets. Are they gonna hold up if, I know we talked a little bit about that earlier, but if I'm live streaming and there's no way to alter a live stream like today,
Right.
there's no way for me to go in here and cut words and,
Yeah.
So would that be submissible?
I think, if we're talking about just traffic court, a lot of the judges in traffic court are pretty lax when it comes to like the admissibility of evidence. So I don't think any judge will say no, you can't submit that. It's worth Armand's back. It's worth submitting dash cam footage, live stream footage. But dash cam is like a private dash cam. At the end of the day, that's evidence.
Yeah.
You can bring it in, but whatever weight the judge gives, I think it kind of depends on that particular judge on that particular day.
Gotcha.
Hey, bud, you had a lot of requests. Everyone's like,
And
what happened
Armand
to
is back,
Armand?
guys.
What happened to Armand? Sorry.
Have they said anything about your body being shaped like a pear?
He probably went out and sat there and thought, what can I say? That's what took him so long.
Here's
Loser.
Reza's body.
I have a fat ass. What can I say?
You guys are hilarious, man.
It took you that long to do that? Aren't you an attorney? Can't you think of something better?
Bro, I got shit to do.
I got shit to do.
You Googled it or what?
What can I say to this, guys?
This guy said I have small hands. What can I say? to
What
him?
can I say in response? Say he looks like a pear. Thanks.
Bro, I was just talking about the shape of your body.
Yeah,
That's all.
sure.
I didn't.
I'm disappointed.
Yeah,
Are you
well,
all disappointed?
Welcome in Arvon Naderi. He's our criminal defense. And if I had one of his cards, I'd show you his information.
Furry of my cards.
It's in the front.
I love
You're
this.
good. You're clear out.
But I.
For you're all good.
While
Yeah, you're
down
clear
there-
out. You're good.
While you're down there.
Oh, you're down there. So people want to know at one point, is it advisable to use pepper spray in self-defense? Like, let's say someone comes up and pushes you. I mean, are you gonna pull it out and spray somebody, or are you gonna wait for them to attack you again?
If at some point, if they've already put hands on you, that's a crime, it's a battery. And you can use reasonable force to defend yourself.
Reasonable being like what, deflections or?
I mean, that's the issue.
You wouldn't want to go and run after them and spray them, right?
No, it's once the threat is gone, it's a bad idea to go back. And a lot of people do this because they sit and think about it and they're like, fuck this shit, I'm gonna go back. No. If you've had enough time to sit there and think about it, it's done. Like, don't go back. If you still fear that a battery is imminent or that some type of harm upon you is imminent, then you can use reasonable self-defense. Generally, I mean, I would need more specifics on the scenario. If somebody pushes you and then walks away, no, you shouldn't. I think it's a bad idea to chase them down. There's the law that's on the books, and then there's a law in real life. Like, why carry that on? Why start something? What if they have a gun? What if they have a knife?
Now, let's say, for example, and this happened to SLO County Observer, one of the other auditors the other day. He's filming and some guy approaches him. So he starts telling the guy to leave him alone, and he starts walking away. He walks this way, he walks back this way. The guy's still following him. Now the guy's pulling out his phone, shoving it up in his face and stuff like that. And the guy's telling him clearly, get away from me, I'm fearing for my life now. You don't leave me alone. So what happens is SLO doesn't make contact with the guy, but he's telling him, get away from me, and he sprays him. And he's, you know, that's his way of making sure that the guy doesn't close the distance any further. And he's already warned him like 10 or 15 times to get away from me or I'm gonna spray you. And the guy just keeps on approaching him. Now, how does that hold up in court?
For who?
For the guy that sprayed the other guy, because
I think if the guy that sprayed was in fear of an imminent battery or bodily harm, then he can use reasonable force to defend himself from an impending battery. But the issue is, it has to be reasonable. So just because you say you fear for your life doesn't mean that there's an actual possibility that your life is going to end or that you're going to be harmed. It has to be reasonable. Use a reasonable test. Is it reasonable that you suspect something might happen to you? Would a reasonable person think that? That's how I would do it. But, you know, I've listened to questions in the past that your viewers ask, and I think a lot can be avoided. I mean, these are headaches. People don't want to go to court. People don't want to be arrested. People don't want to get sued.
Right.
A lot can be avoided if you just walk away.
Right.
Just walk away.
Yeah.
If real life, if somebody shoved me, they're like, "Fuck you, you're a piece of shit." All right, cool. Have a nice day.
Honest person.
That's how. It's.
So you don't recommend ever if they don't make contact with you or if they're not being aggressive with contact, don't let off the spray. That's what.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's.
Now, what if somebody comes up and I'm holding my camera, they just come and whack my shit?
Well, that's a battery.
Now, I haven't sprayed them yet, but they're still in my face and they're yelling. You know, now at that point,
That depends on your state of mind. If you
Okay.
still fear more contact,
Yeah.
then you can use reasonable force to defend
Without
yourself.
an additional contact from
Yeah,
him?
yeah.
Okay, or her, whatever?
Right.
Like a Chinese lady, like, Riverside County likes spraying Asian ladies, so I don't like to take them to like Chinatown or downtown LA.
I don't know about that. I have no idea what you're talking about.
I gotta take the pepper spray away from Riverside because he
What?
likes spraying Asian ladies. No
My
offense to the Asian community at all.
my advice would be if you can walk away,
Hold on.
walk away. It is such a headache to go to court. It is such a headache to get arrested. It's such a headache to have to explain yourself. Well, this is what happened. That, and then the police officers show up. They weren't there. They don't fucking know. So sometimes they might take both of you.
Mhm.
And once you're booked, you're booked. Like that record is good to go with the Department of Justice basically forever. It's just such a headache. It's so much easier to just say fuck it, walk away. And unless there's real harm to me, like I'm not pursuing anything like that. Somebody pushes me like, hey, no problem. Have a good day.
What about in a situation where, let's say like a Caltrans or a city location, and this is coming from the filming side again. I know you don't like to answer these questions, but
Yeah, because it's not my area of law.
you know what? Oh well.
No, there's not. Oh well, we
No,
can't.
but let's just say for example, it's a scenario. Some two guys walk into a city facility, and the staff end up causing violence on these guys, beating them up, kicking them, breaking their stuff, and then the cops show up, and then they don't file charges on anybody. What do we do in a situation like that?
Well, cops can't arrest people for misdemeanors that were committed outside of their presence.
What if you're asking
with,
for
with a couple exceptions.
yeah? If you're asking for a PPA, these guys jumped me, I want them arrested.
And
This
I
guy
think
stole my phone, I want him arrested.
with a PPA, what usually ends up happening with the cases I've had is someone wants somebody arrested, a supervisor comes out, and a supervisor makes the call. But that doesn't mean that the case is not getting filed. There's still a police report. That police report goes to a city attorney, which is a prosecutor. The prosecutor looks at the case and says, can we prove this case? Yes, we can. Okay, we'll send a notice for the defendant to appear in court. Or, no, we can't. We cannot prove this beyond a reasonable doubt. We're going to reject the case. So, yes, that can happen. That doesn't mean a case is not getting filed.
Are they still taking a report even though they
Yes.
they failed to file whatever?
Yeah, I think most
They-
departments, the
they still
policy
have
they
to?
have is contact with the public. They'll write at least a FI card, like a field information card, or some kind of report, because they want that on record as well.
Okay, very good. Okay, let me give you Naderi's information real quick, guys, so you guys have his information fresh on hand. I know I gave it out several times before, but this is Naderi Law Office, Arvan Naderi. Make sure and give him a call if you have any situations regarding criminal defense, and or if you want a cheap date with small hands.
They're not small, they're average. But you know, look, as you know, I watch a lot of your videos.
Thank you.
Right? You're welcome.
Thank you for that.
And I read a lot of the comments because I'm curious as to what the general public
Right.
thinks. And one theme that I've taken away is that people think, well, you do this and then you're gonna sue and you're gonna be a millionaire.
Right, no.
Real life doesn't work
No,
that
it
way.
doesn't work like
It's-
that.
One, if you're starting the shit, then the odds are jurors would probably look at you and say, you know what, you're an asshole, you really don't deserve
Right.
anything. And the other is the headache of going to court, of having to hire a lawyer, of having to defend yourself, of having to be put under the stress of cross-examination. Cross-examination is not fun. It's just, things can go along so much better if you just walk away. But that applies to the people that come up to you too. Just mind your business.
Yeah.
Like if I saw you filming, I'd be like, hey, and I'd walk away. So a lot of headache. Life has enough headaches. So much of it can be prevented. I know some of your viewers don't agree with this, but
No, it can't be prevented, you know, and that's the thing, like, if there's a way to prevent certain things, or to avoid it, then why not avoid it? I get that.
Yeah, it's such a pain in the ass. Who wants to go to court? Who wants to sue? Who wants to be sued? Who wants to
Right.
get arrested? Who wants to have to explain? It's such a waste of time and life.
Yeah,
But-
I won't walk away. I'll stand my ground, but I won't make matters worse. You know,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not gonna be the aggressor. You know, a lot of times I do tell people to fuck off and mind your own business, but that's what it's common sense,
Yeah.
man. Fuck off, mind your own business. Why are you
Yeah.
worrying about what I'm doing? You
Right.
know, people find that disrespectful. You know, but that how you feel about what I'm doing is not my concern. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm gonna stand here. I got a job to do. I'm gonna stand here. I'm gonna film, and you're not gonna stop me. You know?
Right, I mean, that's your work. Yeah, I get
That's
it.
my work.
I get it.
I
That's
gotta,
what
I
you
gotta
do.
get this story. And if the story is that you came out and barked orders and you got all crazy, that's what the story is now.
Mhm.
Right.
If it is because you guys were very respectful to people out here in the public, didn't bother us, that's the story,
Yeah.
you know? So I get what you're saying, de-escalate, walk away, but I mean, in my position, I'll never walk away, but I'll never be the aggressor either,
Right.
you know?
And I've noticed that, but this is
So-
what you do. This is your work. This
Yeah,
is your
so
job.
you just gotta do things right, be lawful, right? Be lawful, stay within those boundaries and don't be the aggressor. That's what my advice would be to anybody that's in a situation that I'm in, you know?
I
But,
also,
not everybody's in my situation to watch these videos. There's people that just deal with regular stuff
Mm-hmm.
out there and, you know, kind of applies to, you know, what we do.
right. I also wanted to commend you and you know, Furry on when you have good experiences with police officers, you always recognize it.
Oh, yeah.
And you and I have discussed this. You know, good behavior, good policing, it's contagious.
Yeah.
And what
Yeah.
we want is we want good cops out there because
Right.
you know somebody has to go out to
Yeah,
these calls.
somebody has to do it.
And I appreciate that you do that. You always like give
Thank
the
you, man.
thumbs up and Furry same thing. The awards, you know, I like that because
Yeah, they need to know that they're actually a benefit to the community
yeah,
instead of F off cop, you know,
Yeah, right.
have a effing day, you know.
I agree.
No, it's not that because we're all at the end of the day we're all human and we all have to live in this society together. So if we're gonna make matters worse for each other, you know, what's the point? You know, we gotta make things, you know, more universal, more for the community to be. You're a leader. You're the leadership of the community. You should show that leadership
right.
as an example, you know, not show poor leadership as an example, you know, and a lot of cops are using their poor examples to lead the community, and I don't think that's right. So, with all that's been going on with the mayor,
Major.
going on with the major police killings and beatings, when and at what point can you defend yourself or not at all? You know, because these cops are being pretty aggressive.
I was okay. First of all, I don't know what cops this person's referring to, but generally, so there's jury instructions for every offense, and then there's jury instructions for defenses. Okay, so I've been asked this question before, and I'll give the same answer. An unlawful arrest. Unlawful arrest. Can you resist an unlawful arrest? Yes. Is it a good idea? No. I think it's a terrible idea. First of all, you don't know what's in the cop's mind. The cop has to articulate on a report at some point what the fuck he or she thinks is going on, right? You don't know what that is. And as you've seen, many instances of use of force, something that generates use of force, the genesis of that event is, if you look at it, you would never imagine that it ended up the way it ended up. And that's usually because the person being stopped, in the cop's mind, is not complying. It's much easier to fight a bad arrest later on through paperwork and legal work versus going hands-on with a police officer. I think it's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
And it can end up with the person being in jail. It can end up with the person being
Hurt, killed.
Yeah, hurt, killed. You don't know what's in the
Charged.
cop's mind. That cop comes up to you. They have no idea who the fuck you are, and in your mind, you say, "Hey, I'm a good person. I'm a law-abiding person. I haven't done anything wrong," but they don't know that. They don't know that. My answer is the same. I think it's a terrible idea to engage in use of force with any police officer. Let them do their job. If there's a legitimate legal issue, you can do all types of things later without putting your life and your liberty at stake. Because if you decide at some point, well, I'm gonna fight this cop and well, now you're looking at a PC 69 charge, which is a felony, and now you have to go through all that before being able to take any kind of action. No, it's a terrible idea.
So what if you're cuffed and they start punching you in the face, you know? I know there was a.
Oh, all right. I have to go.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
Sorry.
You
He's
don't
gonna
wanna
come back
answer
with
that
another
punch in
comeback,
the
like
face
a your
question.
mama joke or something.
No, I have to.
Don't
talk-
start.
No.
Okay.
While we were out, Samir called for you again.
Oh, I got the email. I'll take care of it.
Samir, these nuts across your chin.
It's a Google search. Come back with something better.
All right. Whoa. So we're just discussing. There was a video that was surfacing on YouTube of an individual being handcuffed by 3 officers, and 2 of the officers start throwing blows and punching the guy in the face. I'm sure you guys seen the video if you're on YouTube. But so we're trying to figure out, like, at one point. I mean, and not only that, but the people that were around space. So these guys are not throwing trash and cans at the officers. And so I mean, is there some type of limitation to the public trying to protect someone else in the public from being beat up by an officer? Like.
Well, I mean, you could there's self-defense and there's defense of others, right? For defense of others, if you feel like, as long as your conduct isn't unreasonable, meaning it doesn't go beyond what you don't whip out a baseball bat for somebody who's unarmed or something like that. You don't escalate it.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have legal standing. But just to kind of piggyback on what Arvon was saying, at the end of the day, it is a lot easier to deal with it through paperwork and with time than it is to deal with it in the field.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, your life and liberty is important. Don't get me wrong; it should be fought for. But if it comes down to somebody losing their life or having a really inconvenient situation for 24 or 48 hours that ultimately gets dealt with in a way that is, I don't want to say fair, because none of that shit is fair, but in a way that is that offers some justice to that person, I think that's always the better choice, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you want to go home to your family, you want to go
Right.
home to your bed, to your video games, whatever it is you love, you want to make it home to that.
Yeah, that's what I tell these cops. Like, oh, you guys are out here to get a lawsuit and get arrested and get a lawsuit. Like, no, I want to go home to my family tonight.
Right.
Like, I want to wake up in the morning to breakfast and coffee. You think I
Right.
want to go sleep in a jail cell
Yeah.
for a lawsuit? Like, you got me mistaken.
Absolutely.
That's the last thing I want to do is end up in a jail cell tonight. So I'm gonna stand up for my rights, but that doesn't mean that I want to end up in a jail cell.
Yeah.
But a lot of these cops have, they're backwards thinking. Oh, these guys just want to get arrested for a lawsuit. Like, no, that's not true. We never want to get arrested. We do want to stand up for our rights and prove a point, but the last thing we want to do is get arrested.
The goal is to educate. To the community, right? You said, I just remember this, and forgive me if I shouldn't. But I think the last thing Furry wanted was to get shot, right? Or the last thing you wanted was to get hit in the face with a baton or anything like that.
No, the
I don't
last
know if
thing
you've been
any
shot
of
or
us
not
want.
because of this stuff, but I'm sure you're not thinking like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna get shot
Yeah, I'm gonna
today.
get
You know
shot
what I mean?
today.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
man,
no.
it's a stupid mentality, and I think it's just a defense, or it's I think it just takes away from what's actually being done, right?
Yeah,
It
I think they
minimizes
can
what you guys are
properly,
doing.
you know, police can properly educate people,
Yeah.
you know, and be more of an educator and say, hey, you know, these people have rights, you know, just like you have rights if you go somewhere, you know. Instead, they're trying to, trying to create more of a situation. Oh, they're gonna put you on YouTube. They want to put your face on YouTube, and they, you know, like automatically they start, just making it.
They color the facts.
Yeah, exactly. And instead of just properly educating people, they're making matters worse. So it's like, so that's why we run into so many situations, and mostly because the police are corrupt. You know, people lie a lot, so it gives us a lot to do out here. You know, especially when I've been in situations where I get pulled over, pulled out of the car just because, and I didn't know that I had a right to, if I'm not breaking the law, if you have all your proper documents, you don't have to get out of the car, but these guys are just opening your door and pulling you out of the car right away, seatbelt on and everything, get out of the car and let me see your hands.
Stop resisting, stop resisting.
Yeah, so there was a situation with some military guy that got pulled over by 2 cops in another state, and they kept on telling him, let me see your hands and get out of the car, but he has a seatbelt on, so they pepper spray him or whatever.
I saw that one.
You saw that one?
SUV, I think, right?
Yeah.
He's in camo gear and everything.
Yeah. And you're like, what the heck,
Yeah.
So it could happen to anybody, not just us. It could happen to definitely anybody. Police are not giving me police reports and other public information. Do I sue them or can I sue them?
If they're not giving you the police report, it's usually because either there's not one existent, or I'm sure there probably is if you're seeking one, or you haven't gone through the proper channels. A lot of times what happens is the police report's created and it goes towards their records and identification division, and you got to go through the proper channels to get that stuff. Going to the front desk or calling up an officer, it's rarely going to result in you getting a copy. You're better off going through the proper channels. Now, if you go to the front desk and you ask them, how do I request my police report, and they refuse to give you that information, then I would ask to speak to a sergeant or to any supervisor that's there and get that information. That's usually the best thing I can say. You can't sue them for that, though.
This is a situation, again, that I've been in. I was arrested in Lake Elsinore for filming on a public sidewalk. The cops didn't know that it was a public sidewalk for some reason. They had two deputies show up, a supervisor, and then they got on the phone with the watch commander. And they all give the okay to arrest us off of the sidewalk. So we were booked, released, the case was thrown out of court, DA rejected it.
Yeah.
And when I went to the PD to get the police report, they wouldn't give it to me because they said that I was a suspect on the police report. So am I supposed to, while I'm being arrested, am I supposed to say, I want to file a police report for false arrest on this guy, or what's the best practice in that situation
So, I've never heard of them not giving a police report. It was an arrest report. So then that makes sense. When you say police report, my mind automatically goes to traffic collision reports. That's why but if it's an arrest report, I don't know what the procedure is about whether or not you're entitled to that. You should be entitled to it. I think at the end of the day, if you end up getting an attorney, they can subpoena those records or request them by public request. Stand by. I see.
New car? All right, guys. I guess Ice Cold is being pulled over right now.
Breaking news.
Breaking news, guys. Breaking news.
I can't get this goddamn headphone.
Take the rubber bands off. That's what it is. Putting pressure on it.
There we go.
There you go. All right, well, speaking of getting pulled over and stuff, we got a situation where Ice Cold is live right now on YouTube, and he's currently pulled out of the vehicle.
So you're streaming that on this now?
There's a dog in there that we're gonna have to deal with, so I might have to get animal control.
Animal control. So they're taking him or what?
So this is his like inside dash cam.
He's live streaming on his own phone inside his car.
Did the officers know? Did you disclose that?
Oh, I don't know. A little Chihuahua type dog. I don't know exactly what's going on or where Ice was, but he was pulled over and pulled out of the vehicle, guys. All right, guys, so tune into Ice Coach channel if you want to check out what's going on with him, and if you guys can also gather any information on where he's at or if he's arrested, where they're taking him, and we'll go see if we can help out Ice Cold. But we're gonna go ahead and cut this one for now, guys. It's been a great session. Very, I don't know how many cards I pulled of yours already. We got the card coming up again. If you guys ever need any information or if you need to talk to somebody about your traffic situations, you can visit